Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be Fumbling the Dating Football. I got an email here from a guy who made a really stupid mistake with a chick that he could have totally gone out with. And this is like the things I talk about why it is so important. I say this over and over and over and over again. Why you have to practice these skills with as many women as you can find in order to get ready, so when you meet a girl that you really like, you don't fuck it up. Because if you don't practice it, repetition's the mother of skill, and therefore if you're not going through any repetition, your skill's not going to get any better. And if you're just going about your life and waiting till you meet somebody that really knocks your fucking socks off, then what's going to happen is you're not going to practice, and you're going to meet her and you're just going to totally fuck it up unnecessarily because you were unprepared. And so he says, hey dude, great book, great videos. He said, I had a first date last night, drinks, and then we played pool. I walked back to her car and she said, you teased me so much tonight. And I said, yep. And she said, I'm not used to that. I said, glad you liked it. Then I kissed her. It was a good end to the date. He says, I wasn't sure how long to wait to call her back. Usually 2 to 3 days. The reason that you do that is you want to give them 2 to 3 days, because remember, women, and I see this all the time, women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. That is a scientific fact. And so if you know that, your actions and the things you say should facilitate a woman wondering where she stands with you. And so if you call her like the next day and she really liked you and you did had a great day with her, it shouldn't be a big deal. But if you wait 2 or 3 days, the reason you wait 2 or 3 days is because most guys call within like the first 24 hours or maybe the first 2 days afterwards. And so you want a little bit of anticipation to build, and you also, before you ask her out for the second date and decide to go out, maybe spend some money and some valuable time, you want to see what her level of enthusiasm is when you call. And so if it's been 3 days and you call her, it will be a lot more effective, especially if she really liked you at the end of the first date. If you wait 3 days, she'll like you more. She'll be wondering about you more than as if you'd have just called her the next day. It's not set in stone. I'm just saying, if you want to help get all of the women that you date, you want to push their buttons emotionally so they have a good time with you and they start to feel more and more attraction, and it builds a sexual tension, because the more a woman likes you, the easier she's going to make it for you to seduce her. So it's like, why not work smarter? Work smarter and not harder, you know? He says, I called her tonight, so I guess basically you had a good date and then you call her the next day. It's not the end of the world. I would have waited a couple of days. Why? Because if she's got your phone number, here's the key. And like I talk about in my book, if you do everything right with a woman, the first 2 to 3 dates that you have with her, even sometimes after the second date, and usually at least by the third, what's going to happen is she's not going to want to wait the 2 to 3 days to hear from you. She'll probably text you the next day, I had a really great time. Or if she hadn't heard from you in 2 days, she'll text you and say things like, hey, I wanted to let you know I was thinking about you, had a really great time the other night. That's her way of saying, I don't want to wait 3 or 4 or 5 more days to see you again. I want you to arrange something to happen sooner. She's not going to come right out and say that, but that's the reason she's contacting you. And so when a woman does that, when she reaches out just to say hello, you're like, hey, great to hear from you. When are you free? Oh, next week to get together? ? Send it. Let her respond. Pick a day that you're free out of the ones that she says she's available. Make a definite date and say, awesome, I really can't wait to see you again. I'll see you then. And then when you've got a date 4 or 5 days set up in advance and you don't have to call her because you've made definite plans, she's going to be wondering about you, thinking about you, because most guys don't do those kinds of things. Most guys are all over women like it's the last girl they're ever going to fucking talk to. And they talk women right out of liking them. And so especially if you got a chick that's dating, she's got 5 or 6 other guys blowing up her phone, and these guys might be better looking than you, they might be more successful, they might have more to offer her as far as a provider goes than you. But because you waited the 4 or 5 days, she's thinking about you and wondering about you, and she'll reach out to you as opposed before she calls these other guys back, because she wants to know, why isn't this guy calling me? What's going on with him? Because remember, women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And so if you're vague and you don't talk about your feelings all the time and how much you like her and how much you love being with her, I'm not saying you never say these things to her, But by not volunteering them and not saying them constantly, it allows her to wonder where she stands about you, and that's going to cause her to be more attracted to you as opposed to you just telling her every step of the way. Because remember, women are like cats; they like mystery. They only stick around as long as there's something to be curious about and to be interested in. And so you want to facilitate that by being mysterious, not telling her everything about you unless she asks you about it. And you don't have to tell her everything. It's just you tell her enough to get her interested, and then you change the subject and ask her a different question. Because what will happen is tomorrow or the day after, when she hasn't heard from you and she's talking to her girlfriends, she's going to think back to that time she asked you something when you guys were at dinner the night before, and you gave her a little bit of an answer, and maybe talked for a minute or two about it, and then you change the subject, and then she's going to be thinking, and she's going to be wondering about that because she's going to want to know more. And because you didn't tell her everything, now she's more curious. And in order to find out why she's so curious, obviously she's got to contact you, or next time she gets you out of herself, she's going to ask you about it, and she's going to dig. And when a woman does that, when a woman digs to discover more about you, it means that she's interested. And these are the things you always want to look for. This way you make sure you're going out on dates with women that really like you, because when you're out on dates with women that really like you, it's really easy to have a good time with them. They try to keep the conversation going. They try to make things fun. Whereas if you're going out on a date with a woman whose interest is in the 50 to 60% range, it's going to be harder to keep the conversation going because she's not going to be as enthusiastic about you. Now, you can get her to the same level as the other women, but it's going to take longer to do that, and it's a lot more work. He says, I've been reading your book, and I had something in my head about Friday being a bad idea. So here's what happened. He called her tonight, and he says it was a bit awkward. Yeah, because you called her the very next day. You should have waited. And that tells me you don't know my book very well. And since you don't know the book very well, you're making completely unnecessary mistakes. That's why I say you must read it 10 to 15 times. It's 228 pages, and you're only going to retain about 8 to 10% of it once you read it for the first time. And this is exactly why. Because you didn't know when to call her, and you didn't know how to handle yourself in the phone. You were a little unsure because you probably liked her a lot more than you did after the first date, and so now you're a little nervous. And this is what I talk about building your emotional self-control by dating lots of women, interacting with lots of women. So when you go out on a date with a girl that you really like, it's easy to do the right things. And see here, it's hard for you because number one, you don't really know the stuff that well, and you haven't practiced it enough, so you're making mistakes. You're shooting yourself in the foot. It's like you're tying your shoelaces together unnecessarily. He says, so I wanted to set up a date for next Thursday, and she said she has been scheduled to work, and then she suggested Friday. And that's a good sign. When a woman offers another day, it's what we would call in sales a counteroffer. And so because she's offered another day, it communicates that she has a high level of interest. And so this is why it's so important when you ask a girl, when you're making a date, that you pause when you say, how about Thursday? And what I like to do is instead of just going right to how about Thursday or how about Wednesday, you say, how about, or you just say, what days are you free next week? And let her respond. That's a little bit better approach to do, because it's easier to nail her down to something. And so she suggests Friday, and here's the thing. Women know that like Friday and Saturday nights are typically the nights that guys go out with their girlfriend, or their wives, or women that they're really serious with, or their best girl, so to speak, if you're dating lots of different women. And so, like, typically, it's usually, ideally, especially like a first date, it's better to go out during the week. Now, why is it? Why? Because if you go out during the week and you go out with a girl several times and you're not sure, especially if her interest is low to start out with, if she never asked you about a weekend date, or how come you never take me out on a Friday and Saturday date, it's because she doesn't give a shit. It's not important to her. And those are all, because like most of the guys that are making mistakes with women, they just don't know how to tell where they're at. And so they can't tell when a chick really likes them. And like, you don't have to use all these things. These are just like simply tools that are in your toolbox to use. So he says, I've been reading your book and had something in my head about Friday being a bad idea, and had stupidly not thought about another day. And so I said, text me when you are free and we'll catch up. And he says, so anti-challenge. He says, I'm so annoyed it just slipped out. What do I do from here? He says, also, what are your coaching rates? And you go to my website on the products tab, which is going to be at the top of your screen. Just click the products tab, and my coaching options are right there. So, and like I say, you totally fucked up unnecessarily because you were unprepared. You were impatient on the phone. You called her right away the next day. And then she offered Friday, and you're going, Friday. There was something about Fridays. And you didn't know what it was, and so you just blurted out something. And it was totally unnecessary. The girl wanted to see you. She wanted to go out with you, and you just totally fucked it up by saying, oh, text me when you're free and we'll catch up. When you say that to... You say things like that to when a woman when you ask her for a date, you say, how about Thursday night? And she'll go, oh, I got to work Thursday. And you got to leave the pause there. And so when a woman says, I got to work Thursday, and she's unavailable, let the pause stay there. Don't say anything. Why? Because it reveals her true interest for you. And if you start talking like most people do, then you'll never find out what her real true intentions are. And then you could end up going out on a date or two with her after that and wasting your time and your money when you really didn't have a chance with her. So that's why it's so important. Because if you pause when she says, I'm not available Thursday, usually a woman will say, but I can do it Friday, but I can do it Tuesday, but I can do it Sunday. It gives her the ability to offer a different day that you're available. And that's what she did in this case. And if you weren't available Friday, you should say, I can't do it Friday. Then you say, what days are you available next week? Let her pick a day and then set a date on that particular day. See, here, you didn't know the material in my book well enough, and you just threw out an answer talking out your ass, and you didn't really know what you were saying. And you could have set a date and gone out with a girl, but instead, now it's totally up in the air, and you basically... So what I would do in this particular case is wait a week. And so say you called her today, call her a week from today. It's like today is Tuesday, call her next Tuesday and invite her out to do something. But next time you call her, say, hey, I want to take you out. What days are you free? Or I want to meet you out for drinks or whatever. What nights are you free? Ask her and then make a definite date. But you gotta start reading the book over and over and get to know the material so well, because I mean, this is a bummer. I mean, you did obviously a good performance, and a girl wanted to see you the second time, and because you don't know the material, you're just throwing shit out there, talking out your ass, and you're totally fucking it up for yourself unnecessarily. And you could have been hanging out with a chick getting laid this week, but instead now you got to wait till next week because you put your foot in your mouth. So if you got a question that you want to ask me, there's a topic you want me to cover in a future video newsletter, go to my website, click the Contact Me tab on the left-hand side of your screen. Send me 1 to 2 paragraphs max detailing your questions, your situation, your challenges. Just give me several days to get back to you with a response because I get a lot of email from the internet. And I also get a lot of it from my paying phone coaching customers. But be patient and I will get back to you. And if you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. And you can do that by going to my website, click the products tab, which can be at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. And if you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook, you can do that on my website underneath the email sign-up box. There's going to be a link that will take you to the Amazon Kindle download page, and you don't have to have a Kindle device to read my book. All you have to do is download one of Amazon's free Kindle e-reader apps, and they have them for Android devices, tablets, smartphone. They have them for iPhone. They have it for any Mac or PC, tablet, and pretty much any device can be turned into a Kindle with one of Amazon's free Kindle e-reader apps. So once you download the app for your device, only takes 60 seconds to get my book after that. I will talk to you soon.